Hello, Blazer fans, Blazers Edge readers. Welcome back to another Blazers Edge videocast. I'm Sam Tung, along with editor Dave Decker. We have another email question for you, and this one is coming from Justin. So if you'd like to be like Justin and send in an email, please do so, blazersub@gmail.com, especially as we itch closer and closer to the playoffs. A lot of really great topics here on blazersedge.com that we want to get to, so send those in, blazersub@gmail.com. And again, this email comes from Justin, and Justin writes in, haven't heard about Joel Freeland in a while. Do you think he'll be critical to Portland's chances, especially against Dwight Howard, or is it a 6 more fouls situation? And you could argue that that's a pretty big impact too, Dave, but wanted your thoughts, especially when you play a big like Dwight. So wanted your thoughts from Justin on what Joel Freeland, is going to mean to this team as they start to move into the playoffs.
Yeah, everybody say it together, 55% foul shooter. So, yes, those 6 more fouls could be critical, and obviously the Blazers want all hands on deck for the postseason, no matter who the opponent is. Joel Freeland provided a stability at backup center and an intensity that neither Thomas Robinson nor Myers Leonard has been able to match, at least not consistently. Robinson's ceiling is obviously higher than Freeland's is, but he doesn't always meet it. Whereas Freeland, you can pretty much count on game in and game out is going to do something, especially on the offensive glass, which is critical to Portland's attack. So yes, the Blazers absolutely want Freeland back, and he should be back for the playoffs, hopefully, knock on wood. That could make a difference. However, the big problem is what kind of centers are the Blazers playing against? Obviously, we've mentioned Dwight Howard. The other alternative is DeAndre Jordan. Freeland doesn't match up well against either of those. In fact, I still remember vividly Dwight Howard pasted the worst 3-minute stretch of basketball that I've seen this season on Freeland. It was Freeland looked Myers Leonard-esque. He just could not do anything to handle Howard. That individual matchup is a bad thing for the Blazers. In fact, can't play him pretty much. So he would see limited duty likely, maybe at the power forward instead of at center, or at least guarding the other big for Houston. But he's not likely to turn the tide in these particular matchups. It's just unfortunate that the Blazers are going to go up against someone who creates such problems for their already thin and depleted center core.
Especially if Omer Asik plays, because now you've got double trouble there because he's a physical big too.
Mm-hmm. Although I'll take Freeland. I'll take Freeland against Asik. Right? That's a better matchup. He won't prosper. He will not prosper, but he's not going to get destroyed. Dwight Howard, I swear to you, saw Freeland come on the court, and his eyes got as big as dinner plates, and he just dunkety dunk. And you saw Howard, right? Against Portland this year, Dwight Howard looked basically unmotivated, frustrated, out of the offense. Freeland, put the red cape in front of the bull somehow, and I think it's just because of the name on the jersey. Howard's like, I'm going to kill this guy, and he did, and Freeland was powerless to stop him. So, yeah, Asik against Freeland, both are gritty. I mean, Asik's got a little more size and weight to him, I think, but Freeland, I can live with that because Asik won't kill him, but Howard, I feel like I'm throwing out a 5-year-old into a high school game there, and it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, and it's not even so much, a lot of it is, skill and talent, but, you mentioned it. It's just the physicality of Howard, and how I still remember, like it was yesterday, watching him get the ball on the block and drop step to dunk it on the other side of the hoop, and Freeland fouled him, and that included Dwight Howard just dunking on his face, and he got a little bit of contact. And I think a lot of what Justin pointed out in that email, that a lot of he sort of downplayed it, but I think that a lot of what makes the Blazer bigs could make them successful in a matchup like that is they can provide 6 fouls. However, Freeland is just an inferior athlete to Howard that I'm not even sure he would be able to do that. Yes, he could foul him, but could he foul him to the point where Howard isn't going to have an opportunity in an and one? I just don't think he's strong enough. There are very few people in the league that are strong enough to do that, and I don't think that Joel Freeland really fits that bill. But Dave, I wanted to go back to that 6 fouls sort of situation. You know, with Freeland back and how much trouble the Blazers have had in the front court, especially with inconsistency of play. They've obviously had some injury concerns with both Aldridge and Freeland over the second half of the season. At the very least, it has to be good for Freeland to be, back in the lineup, simply for the fact that it's just another guy that's, taller than 6'8", that can, clog the paint a little bit, get a couple of rebounds, and sort of understands his role. I mean, at the end of the day, that has to be ultimately a positive.
I think so. I mean, this is the team that starts Darrell Wright at power forward, right? So you have to think that another big guy is welcome. However, I wonder if, especially if the ankle becomes an issue for Howard, I wonder if the Blazers aren't better off going with opposite day. In that no matter how good an offensive rebounder Freeland is, for instance, Howard is always going to be better on the boards, just not because he's more intense or better motivated or even has better technique, but just because he's Dwight Howard, yes? So you match up Freeland as a level 7 offensive rebounder, Howard even not carrying is level 8, you lose that matchup, right? But what if you go the other way? What if you go small ball? What if you use maybe a Thomas Robinson or someone else, right, that's going to run Howard around, that's going to make him less effective, play to his weaknesses. Now, you're still giving up everything in the important areas, like, trying to defend Howard, for instance, but you're going to give that up anyway with Freeland. But what if you can draw Howard out of the lane? What if you can run him around? What if you can shoot over him or dribble past him? So you might get some mileage out of playing small ball, even though that hasn't been a real great tactic for the Blazers. It may be something that they're forced to employ because they don't have a lot else in their bag of tricks. Just I don't care how much you throw Myers Leonard and Joel Freeland against Howard. As we say, it's just probably not going to work unless Howard is so injured that he's a shell of himself.
So essentially, Dave, you turn it into as much of a track meet as you can. Mm-hmm. If you just go super small, your center's a power forward, and maybe Darrell Wright is your power forward, and you just run them ragged.
Pretty much, and you make Howard go left to right. And you look at him and say, hey, big guy, you're going to get that rebound. Okay, it's yours. It would have been yours anyway. But, for instance, on the defensive end, you only let Howard get the rebounds that bounce directly to him. You understand if the ball goes his direction, he's going to get that board. But everybody else slams the glass on the defensive end so that Houston can't get any offensive rebounds except if the ball goes right to Howard. You don't let anybody else in the door. And you make sure, like Nicola Batum, LaMarcus Aldridge, have that in focus. Okay? On the offensive end, when your center, when Robin Lopez is out of the game, you understand you're not going to be able to rely on the offensive rebound as well, or as much. But you hope to pull the defense out of the lane enough to where, for instance, a Damian Lillard could drive it, or you can pass the ball well enough to where you can find an open shooter because you're not being predictable and you're not letting Howard just camp in there. So, there are things they can do. None of them are really good plans, but they might be better plans than just saying, okay, goody, Joel Freeland is now here to throw a body against Dwight Howard, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's going to do it for us here on the Videocast. Again, big thanks to for his email today. Continue to send those in, blazersub@gmail.com, especially, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, especially as the team gets to this real interesting part of the season, really the most fascinating part of the season thus far. So blazersub@gmail.com, the place that you can send those emails, and that is going to do it for us here on the Videocast. For Dave Deckard, I am Sam Tung. Again, thank you all so much for joining us here on the Videocast. We will talk to you all in a couple of days. We'll see you all then here on blazersedge.com.